For years, the Beckhams were seen as the definition of a picture-perfect celebrity family. Carefully curated photos, polished interviews, zero cracks in the image. But suddenly, that illusion shattered. And it all started with one emotional social media post that no one saw coming. When Brooklyn Beckham publicly aired his frustrations online, fans were stunned. This wasn't a vague quote or subtle hint. It was raw, personal, and pointed straight at his own parents. And while Victoria stayed silent, all eyes turned to David Beckham. Would he fire back or take a different approach? What he said next raised even more questions. Brooklyn's message painted a tense picture behind the scenes. He suggested there had been long-standing issues, feelings of being controlled, and moments he described as humiliating, even on one of the biggest days of his life. For a family known for tight image control, this public airing of grievances felt explosive. Fans immediately began dissecting every word, wondering how long this resentment had been building and what finally pushed him to speak out. And the timing mattered. The post came after months of quiet speculation about distance between Brooklyn and the rest of the family. Missed appearances, awkward silences, no public birthday messages. Suddenly, it all seemed to click. But instead of responding directly, David Beckham chose a far more calculated move. Rather than addressing Brooklyn by name, David spoke broadly about parenting, specifically about kids and social media. During a public interview, he calmly reflected on how young people make mistakes online, how emotions can spill out too quickly, and how learning sometimes happens the hard way. He stressed that parents can guide, but ultimately children have to find their own path. To some, it sounded thoughtful and restrained. To others, it felt like a very deliberate message, just indirect enough to avoid escalating the situation. That's where the internet stepped in. Fans immediately began reading between the lines. Many felt David's words weren't random at all, but a subtle response to Brooklyn's decision to take deeply personal family matters public. Comment sections filled with debates. Was David being dismissive? Or was he trying to de-escalate without humiliating his son further? What stood out most was what David didn't say. He didn't deny Brooklyn's claims. He didn't defend himself or Victoria. And he certainly didn't accuse Brooklyn of lying. That silence, paired with his comments about social media mistakes, only fueled speculation that this feud runs far deeper than a single post. Behind the scenes, reports and online chatter suggested the fallout had already affected family dynamics. Brooklyn appeared increasingly distant from major family moments, while David and Victoria continued presenting a united front publicly. It created a striking contrast, a global brand built on family values now facing its most personal challenge yet. And this isn't just a Beckham problem. Celebrity families are increasingly learning that social media can turn private conflicts into permanent public records. A single post can reshape public perception overnight. For Brooklyn, speaking out may have felt empowering. For David, it seems the priority was protecting the family from further damage, even if that meant absorbing the criticism quietly. Still, some fans questioned whether this calm response was actually strategic silence. By framing the situation as a lesson about growth and mistakes, David avoided fueling headlines, while subtly reminding audiences that emotions shared online can have lasting consequences. So, where does this leave the Beckham family? Right now, nothing appears fully resolved. Brooklyn hasn't walked back his words. David hasn't clarified his stance. And the silence between them feels louder than any statement. Whether this rift heals privately or spills further into the spotlight remains uncertain. What is clear, though, is that the Beckham image has shifted. Perfect families don't exist. Even global icons aren't immune to messy, emotional conflicts. And in an era where one post can change everything, the real question isn't who's right or wrong. It's whether this family can find a way to fix what the world now knows is broken,